similar to something that we experience or are like specifically on Unbox Therapy around brands. How in order for one product to be good, the other one has to suck.
That's frustrating as a creator.
When you're a fan of something, for whatever reason, it seems to be that the highest level of enthusiasm comes along with criticism of the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you become a rabid fan of a thing, then you start to become a crusader. You go out and you destroy anything that could possibly harm the thing that you love so much. Like, what is the fandom in K-pop? K-pop fandom. They're called the Army, aren't they?
Are they about knocking down other K-pop groups, though?
Will's like, don't even say the name right now. We just summoned the Army.
Yeah.
But do they go go on other threads and be like, your band sucks or band whatever?
I think only if they consider it to be required. Like if someone says something bad, or like if you said something bad right now, then you are a target of the Army.
See, I would have thought that they would not like all K-pop, but be more likely to support.
No, it extends even outside of K-pop. They can mobilize against anything. Anything they don't like.
That's hard to understand the motivation. You know,
like fandom to that extent.
Yeah,
I know. I've had trouble with that my whole life. I have a hard time going to a concert just because it feels I'm not as good of a fan as everybody else.
Yeah, you don't even have the T-shirt.
Yeah, but I look around and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm not extracting enough here to warrant having this spot.
You're taking up a real fan's.
I'm taking up a real fan's. I have a fake fan complex. Like, how much am I a fan of this particular thing? But the problem with that is I feel like I have a hard time being a fan of almost everything to the extent that other people. I don't know what that's about. I think there's also something about the discrepancy, just the one-to-many aspect of like the stage, which we talked about earlier. The how uncomfortable that is. The formatting is makes me uncomfortable. I'm not saying that I'm nervous of this situation.
Right.
I've gone to plenty of events and things like that. It's just that, yeah.
Even I guarantee that you get it with phones and everything else, but even with cameras, obviously, last however many months or whatever, I've been mostly using Sony stuff. But prior to that, I was using other things, and prior to that, I was using Blackmagic. Prior to that, I was using Panasonic, whatever, right? But it's hard for me sometimes to remember that some viewers maybe only saw that one video, and that they're also a diehard brand person. So I'm sure for you, it should be even less so, where people should know, well, Lew reviews everything, or like every brand, so he's not iPhone only. But yet I bet you, I bet you have videos where when you talk about the iPhone, it's like iPhone chill or whatever, and it's like, but obviously you talk about all of them, but it's that video that they saw, and it's like they need to tell you that they're not okay with you talking about iPhone right now. Like
for me, my perspective has always been about the whole industry, progress in general. This idea that even if you like the iPhone, then you need to like the brands that compete with iPhone, because that's what's supplying the pressure for the thing to improve.
You should be happy when somebody posts a video of like, here's a competitor that's killing it, because what's that expression? All boats rise in the high tide or whatever, Certainly when you're talking about progress, let's say in the form of technology. Yeah. When people stop innovating, microprocessors was the perfect example of this with Intel. When there was that period where Intel was just like, that's the only answer. Intel slowed right down, and the iterative advantages year over year were just like, they weren't even worth talking about. And then now that AMD is kind of come back in and was like, oh, we got some stuff, then not only is now there's still that brand war thing where now you don't really want to talk Intel that much because AMD is the brand to be promoting. But we saw what happened when there's like a 7 to 10 year period of there being no real competition. Prices go up and iteration goes down, or like rather like the degree of it, like how small and the iterations are. It's bad. It's bad for everybody.
Well, and this is why most countries have rules against acquisitions of other companies and monopolistic practices because they stifle innovation. Competition tends to have the opposite effect. So when I read a comment which is suggesting that some brand is the worst thing ever or a piece of trash or whatever it might be, I can't envision it that way because I'm imagining the whole picture. And then on top of that, if you're saying, hey, Samsung pushes Apple, there's even one more level of granularity in the world of phones, which is that Samsung supplies Apple with the displays that go into iPhones. Samsung's success is directly correlated to your iPhone fandom.
That's great. The same thing happens with cameras. Sony makes sensors that go on other cameras.
Absolutely.
And people complain about something about that Sony camera without knowing that, like, hey, that exact same sensor is in the camera that you're saying is the better camera. So one way or another, we want new sensors from Sony.
Or the sports team that you cheer for that needs another team to play.
Yeah. Or with sports teams, especially where we're from. I don't know. Did you grow up in this area your whole life? Like, yeah. I felt like there was always two. You either were a Maple Leafs fan in hockey or you were a Red Wings fan. And there was like this, like...
That's because you're more that way, though.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I was right in the middle.
Yeah.
So it was like pretty extreme like that. But what I always thought was funny was neither one of those teams have many Canadians on them.
Right.
You know, there's like 4 Canadians in both teams or whatever. So it's like, what are we actually cheering for here? A shirt? You know, like...
Absolutely, you're cheering for... shirts and logos and symbols are easier to cheer for. People can come and go, right? They can... brands are powerful.
And that's what I was saying. That's just a brand. It's another brand, you know.
Absolutely, it's a brand.
The Maple Leafs are a huge, successful brand, even if they don't win at hockey, but they're a tremendous brand. Yeah.
Exactly. That logo means more than any one player could ever mean to people. It's subconscious. They've grown up with exposure. They've seen the poster. They've seen the promos. They've seen whatever number of interactions. I mean, Apple benefits in a similar fashion. It's not Steve Jobs. It's bigger than that, no matter what it is that he might have brought to it. And presumably the same thing happens to companies like Tesla eventually and so on. If they're going to continue, then they have to transcend the person. And it's actually kind of similar to the influencer stuff we were talking about earlier, where the person has problems. The person is prone to folly and all the human aspects. The brand is pristine.
Yeah, same with sports. It's like, get that player out of here. You know, we need a new we need a new whatever.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah.
They love it. They're committed to the brand. The people are disposable.
That's right.
Yeah, that guy that I cheered for 5 years, he's done. He's washed up. Get rid of him. Absolutely.